Top 10 Video Games of the Year. The discussion on the Game of the Year for this year ended before it even started. That's not to say 2022 wasn't a remarkable year full of unexpected twists and turns. It's only that gamers were already looking forward to God of War Ragnarok and Elden Ring, the two greatest games of the year. Even if those two games were among the top two AAA releases of 2022, the foregone conclusion mentality eventually did this year's sales a disservice. The Digital Trends team gave this year's comprehensive top 10 list a lot of thought to recognize yet another exceptional year for the sector. Number 10. Bayonetta 3. If you hear the phrase blockbuster, you might immediately think of Hollywood. When you play Bayonetta 3, that instinct can permanently change. Platinum Games' much-anticipated Switch is exclusive and delivers a deliriously fun gauntlet of multiverse thrills, with gameplay that almost plays like a parody of Marvel flicks. It makes up for what it lacks in a plot with extravagant action set pieces, including parodies of spy films and full-on kaiju fights. It would have been simple for Bayonetta 3 to follow the same pattern as its predecessors and call it a day, but instead, the game's inventiveness creates an unpredictable journey that takes pride in its silliness. Popcorn is welcome. Number 9. Vampire Survivors. One of those games that you have to play to understand is Vampire Survivors. At first look, it can appear to be a superficial throwback due to its archaic graphics and one-stick control scheme. However, that is as far from reality as you can get. Instead, one of the most interesting and inventive action games of 2022 is Vampire Survivors. It borrows from the roguelike genre while incorporating concepts from idle games and brash musu. As a result, players may concentrate their attention on important upgrade decisions rather than challenging button inputs in a highly addicting wave defense game. This year, there is no better feeling in gaming than locking into a strong run and witnessing your tiny character annihilate tens of thousands of foes without you ever lifting a finger from the controller. Number 8. Stray. Before its release, Stray developed the unflattering reputation of being that cat meme game. That was a result of its distinctive feline protagonist, who made some gamers fall in love with the concept even before they saw a single frame of gameplay. But Stray succeeds because it is so much more than its novelty. It successfully turns unpleasant cat habits, such as scratching everything in sight or tipping over objects, into creative adventure game concepts and is published by Annapurna Interactive. There's much more to Stray than its main premise, even though its hero has won the admiration of the majority of players. It tells a smart science fiction tale that considers how man and machine interact. The silent story encourages players to direct their dissatisfaction with technology to the people who abuse it. Number 7. Marvel Snap. If all mobile games were like Marvel Snap, which is simple to pick up and play consistently, quick to experience, and very challenging to put down, they wouldn't have such a poor reputation. Marvel Snap is the best collectible card game in a long time, and it was created by former Hearthstone team members. Its quick matches, in which players play cards simultaneously across 3 places, are simple to understand, but they continue to be engaging even after playing for several hours thanks to sophisticated deck-building techniques and an additional layer of randomness introduced by the locations and card abilities. Marvel Snap is a mobile game that we won't be putting down for a while because it keeps improving with new upgrades that make the game even better. Number 6. The Stanley Parable, Ultra Deluxe. You might be perplexed by the Stanley Parable, Ultra Deluxe's inclusion if you haven't played it. I'm going to assume you haven't played it yet if you're wondering right now, why is a re-release of an old independent game taking a spot that should go to something entirely new? Instead of being a transfer with some added content, Ultra Deluxe is a covert sequel that is fully integrated into the first Stanley Parable. The fact that Ultra Deluxe surpasses its predecessor in almost every respect is even more astounding. Instead of waxing lyrical about free will, it concentrates on the modern media age to produce a hilarious and frequently terrifying parody of our insatiable appetite for content. Although it is considerably simpler, the main query is that a bucket here? God of War Ragnarok is on number 5. God of War Ragnarok meets the demands placed on it by being the follow-up to one of the best video games of the last 10 years. In nearly every regard, it's bigger and more extravagant than its predecessor, with better graphics, more characters, a larger story, and improved fighting with a variety of new weaponry and playable characters. God of War Ragnarok certainly displays all of that pomp, but it also presents a truly realistic and moving tale about a father and son who are attempting to stay together as they grow apart. Christopher Judge gives one of his all-time best performances in this film, which supports the film's overall message. One of the most sophisticated AAA gaming experiences ever, God of War Ragnarok is a must-play for anyone wishing to experience the gaming extravaganza of 2022. Number 4. Xenoblade Chronicles. The Xenoblade series has been disregarded by RPG enthusiasts for far too long. Despite having some of the most complex stories, settings, and systems in the genre right now, it was unable to gain the respect it deserved outside of its specialized circles. Fans' long-awaited mainstream breakthrough came with Xenoblade Chronicles 3, and it was fully deserved. A compelling narrative about troops coming to terms with their true foes' oppressive forces that perceive them as pawns in a fight they don't need to die for can be found in the Switch exclusive. Xenoblade Chronicles 3 ensured that no one would ever overlook the franchise again with its breathtaking scenery, well-developed character arcs, and great MMO-like gameplay. Number 3. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Some video games have incredibly inventive gameplay and rich, sophisticated stories that will completely change the genre. Some people are just a lot of fun. The creators of HAL Laboratories outdid themselves with Kirby and the Forgotten Land, the long-running Nintendo series' first complete step into a 3D game of this magnitude. Excellent level design, which produces a lot of fascinating vistas for Kirby to travel over, enhances Kirby's approachable platforming and copyability moves. Kirby in the Forgotten Land looks beautiful and allows you to play with a friend in a year when other Nintendo Switch titles are beginning to look dated. Mouthful mode is another. Do I need to say more? Number 2. Immortality. Each year, independent darling triumphs against AAA behemoths to rank among the best games of the year. Immortality is a cutting-edge video game released in 2022 that challenges players to sift through production material from 3 unreleased movies to learn what happened to Miss Movie actress Marissa Marcel. Anyone who has interacted with a video file before may be familiar with its gaming elements, but its match cut system allows players to navigate between different clips by clicking on a figure or object in a scene. Immortality is a difficult game to review without giving away major plot points, so we'll just say that it is one of the strongest narratives of the year and explores why individuals create art and the struggles they go through to do so. Immortality is a masterclass in non-linear video game storytelling, has superb production qualities, and repeatedly redefines its story and gameplay mechanics throughout its playthrough. Immortality is a game that's both compelling and scary, and it's a must-see. Number 1. Elden Ring. Even though we tried throughout our end-of-year conversations, Elden Ring is the kind of monster that is simply difficult to argue against. No matter how hard you try to point out all of its shortcomings, there is no comparison this year for the amazing feeling of riding through the lands between. From Software delivers a more approachable Souls-like that provides players the freedom to take on its difficulties at their speed by incorporating open-world design into the traditional Dark Souls structure. The game was a social hit when it first came out thanks to the seemingly endless exploration and experimentation potential, demonstrating that From Software's games aren't just a niche experience for diehards, but are also for anyone daring enough to venture outside of their comfort zone and enter their alluringly twisted worlds.